Alright, so I just got back from a run in the sun. It's a hot summer's day here in Norway. And I want to talk a little bit about protecting yourself against the sun, because obviously that's important. If you get too much sun, it's not a good thing. I've talked about this in the past, but I want to touch upon it again today in terms of sunscreen and sunglasses. So the first thing I do when I come home from a run, even if it's not in a hot run, I have some water, right? You rehydrate. That's also important in terms of protecting yourself against the sun, actually staying hydrated. So that's the first order of business. Second, when it comes to sunscreen, I'm not a fan. I don't want to put stuff on my skin that's potentially toxic, and also I don't see the need for it, because this is how I recommend you protect your skin against the sun. There are two ways really. First of all, you build up a tolerance, right? You build up a tan. You go out, you expose yourself to a little bit of sunlight, and depending on your complexion, depending on your starting point, you might only be able to tolerate a few minutes of midday sun, whereas someone else might be able to tolerate half an hour. You build up your tolerance over time. When you've had enough sunshine, you got to be sort of looking at your skin, and you have to be sort of sensitive to it and not overdo it. Just out, get some sun, in. Next day, out again, get some sun, in. Sometimes you get a lot of sun and you need a couple of days with no sun exposure in order to recover from that sun exposure and build a tan. It's the same as with training. You put yourself through training, a training session, then you recover, and then your body adapts to that new level, and then you can go out and train harder the next time, etc., etc. So it's the same with a tan. So that's the number one strategy in terms of protecting yourself against sun, building up a tolerance. And then the key is to get out of the sun in time. It's not healthy for us to stay out in the sun for an extended period of time. We're not adapted to that. People with black skin, obviously, they can tolerate way more sunshine than someone like me with white skin, but still they need to build up a tolerance too. They can also be burnt. So sunscreen is kind of like people want to go to the beach and they want to sit on the beach for like 4 hours without ever being out in the sun thus far in the season, and then of course what happens is they get super burnt unless they use sunscreen. And in that situation, if you absolutely insist that you must sit on the beach for 4 hours for some crazy reason, then obviously using sunscreen to avoid getting burnt is a better idea than getting burnt. You never want to get burnt. So if it's like sunscreen or getting burnt, choose the sunscreen. But better yet, don't be on the beach for 4 hours unless you build up a serious tan and you can handle 4 hours. But I don't know if anyone could actually handle 4 hours in the sun like that. I don't know. So build up a tolerance and get out of the sun in time. The second thing to keep in mind when it comes to sun exposure, and when you want to protect yourself against the sun, say you've been out, let's say I was going out for a longer run than I did today, and I reached a point where I was like, I have to get out of the sun now. The best protection then is clothing. You put on clothing. Simple as that. Protect yourself against the sun that way. You can spend more time outdoors. Even if you're surfing or something like that, you could always put on clothing even though you're wet. So basically, just be in the sun as long as you can handle, depending on your level of tolerance, and then put on clothing or get in the shade. So those two things, shade and clothing, are really the best sunscreens there are, because they're not toxic to us. We don't have to put that stuff on our skin. We just put on some clothing instead or get in the shade. They're even better. So that's when it comes to the skin. When it comes to the eyes, we need sunshine. And I've made a video in the past about sunglasses and why they're not good. Everyone's wearing sunglasses all the time, and it's excessive. Because the truth is, we should go outside every day and we should be getting daylight into our eyes. It's important for stimulating certain hormones, and so we sleep better at night and we feel better during the day. It's a healthy thing to get sunshine into your eyes, but you don't want direct sunshine into your eyes. And whenever it's very in the middle of summer, when the sun is very high, or if you're in the tropics, there's a lot of glare coming off the ground, a reflection. And then if you're out in the ocean or if you're skiing or something, there's a lot of glare coming off the snow and the water, and it can actually damage your eyes. So you have to be careful with that, and that's where sunglasses come in handy. And they're also useful in terms of I tend to sometimes get headaches, because if I'm running in very bright conditions, I tend to run like that, you know, and strain my face. So putting on sunglasses allows me to just relax my face and turn my awesome level up 3 notches. Just looking crazy awesome, right? I don't know. So I use sunglasses when I go for a run, but it goes on and off. Like if it's not too bright, I prefer having it off, and if I'm in the forest, I have it off. And then when I come out and if it's just too bright, I put it down. And then throughout the day, I might have periods where I walk around without sunglasses, and then I might have periods where I put them on. So rather than being one of those people that always wear sunglasses, that's not only is it difficult to communicate with such a person, please take your sunglasses off when you're communicating with people. It's just, I hate talking to people with sunglasses on. So don't be one of those people. Don't use sunglasses all the time. That you would miss out on all that great daylight that stimulates the production of serotonin, etc. So, you know, have them available. They're a great tool, and but use them moderately. Moderate your use of them. And so, just to conclude this video, the sun is great. It's a healthy thing. We need sunlight on our skin. It produces vitamin D, cleans our skin, cleans our blood even. It also stimulates the production of certain hormones. So certainly we need sunlight. It's paramount for optimal health. But too much is never a good thing, right? We want to moderate the amount. And the way we do that is by getting out of the sun in time, building up a tolerance to the sunshine, getting into the shade. Shade is the best sunscreen. And then putting on clothes if you have to be out. And remember, if there's a choice between getting burnt or putting on sunscreen, put on the sunscreen, okay? But if you can avoid the sunscreen by getting in the shade or putting on clothing, even better. And then use your sunglasses just to stay comfortable whenever you're out and about. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go and do the second part of my recovery strategy. First I hydrate, and then after about 20 minutes or so, maybe I do some stretching. I get my carbohydrates in, I get my fuel in, I get my bananas in. And that's what I'm gonna go and do right now. And then I'm gonna continue with my awesome day. Hope your life is going awesome. See you around.